Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. And today here I am in Yaletown again in Vancouver, and this part of the city is very busy with lots of restaurants, bakery, cafes around, and other commercial buildings. So the architecture here is a mix of vintage and modern styles. And here I am outside the cafe. Is called Angus T Bakery Cafe, and that's my first time here. I'm very interested in their bakery items and the coffee. So here I am. So the inside is very minimalistic. The space is pretty small. The whole cafe is like a narrow alleyway. I ordered a cup of cafe latte and one double-baked almond croissant. And here I am sitting inside the hallway where all the high chairs are. And I'm watching all these people working in this workspace, making dough and baking these items. It was very relaxing to watch them. And now I'm ready to sketch the view on my left side through the glass. Is very challenging. As you can see, there are lots of obstructions in front of me, like the glass window and other things. The most important part is to calm down and capture the most essential things that defines this interior space, that convinces the viewer that this is a bakery cafe, is warm and inviting. So after using hand gestures to kind of visualize what I want to include on these two pages, I'm starting with the hanging lamps on the top left side. And these are in different sizes because they are in different distances in space, a little bit overlapping. So when sketching a very complicated scenery, I just calm down and start connecting one thing after another. Now I'm adding this frame of the workspace window, and now I'm drawing this barista's head. Her head is right underneath this lamp, so it's all about finding relationships and comparing proportions and taking a little bit of time to see and to think about my next step. So I decided to draw this lady on my left side. So again, when drawing people, I like to start with their hair and then their face. It's a little bit awkward because she's actually very close to me and she seems to be looking at me to see what I'm doing. She was very quiet, and I think she's okay with me sketching her. Now I'm just drawing her computer, her cup of coffee, and her empty plate. Keep connecting the bottom of the window frame. Now I'm starting to draw her shoulder and her upper body, her arm coming out, bending, typing on her computer. Yeah, so when drawing people in public spaces, we don't have to be accurate. Don't think too much about human anatomy or proportions. Just draw and try to kind of follow what you see and don't think too much. Her leg is bending because she's sitting on a high chair. Yeah, very high legs for the chair. Okay, I think that's it. That's pretty much it for the drawing of this lady. Now I'm keep adding the bottom of the window frame. It's bending down in an angle. Now I'm adding this piece of cardboard box that the barista is folding. And keep adding some more details behind her. The layers of paper boxes that she finished folding up. Now I'm starting to add these two hanging banners behind this lamp. So because we're looking at these banners from the side view, just pay attention to the line going upward on top and going down on the bottom. Now I'm drawing this shelf. It's right behind this barista's head. So again, think about relationships. And this is also a little bit challenging perspective because we have to pay attention to the angles of these lines where they're going. So in general, lines above your eye level is going upwards, as you can see, and the line below your eye level is going downwards. Again, when drawing interior spaces, think about the things that you see in very simple shapes and simple three-dimensional shapes like squares, rectangles, prisms, cubes. Keep connecting this. This is actually the door to the workspace. Now I use my brush pen to color it in black just to add more density to this interior space sketch. So when doing a very complicated scenery like this, we can always color in some of the shapes with solid black, just so things can come out a little bit more. It's more engaging for the viewer. Now I'm just writing out these menu items, not very specifically because I cannot read all of the words on it through the shiny glass. So if you cannot see clearly, I just use scribbly lines to show the direction of the words. Adding a little bit hatching around the barista's table right over there, and keep adding more vertical lines. Just drawing these parallel lines and short little vertical lines to show the brick texture of the wall right there. And you don't have to see very clearly to be able to draw. So what I see over there in general is just a pile of bricks over there. So we can just use our preconceptions a little bit and just draw those lines, get those done very quickly. Now adding these denser lines for the entrance of the cafe, the door, and a couple lamps over there. Keep adding more lines behind the barista. Drawing this oven over here. Again, pay attention to the angle of the line just sinking down because I'm looking at this view from a very sharp angle. Keep adding more boxes on the shelf. Some more little shapes that I see here and there. It's actually a very, very blurry view through this glaring glass. And I'm just drawing as best as I can. I have to guess the things sometimes. Now I'm just keep adding these prism-shaped ovens and coffee makers and bottles. And just use my black brush pen to color in some of the shapes to give more interest for this scenery, because a lot of things in here they look very mechanical and abstract. Now I'm just adding the napkin, the shape of the napkin sticking out, the box right in front of me. Now there's a little bit of a juxtaposition. The size of the napkin box is about the same size as the giant coffee makers behind, finishing the window frame in front of me. So these lines are going down because they are below my eye level. Now just finishing these large prism shapes of the counter behind right there, and finishing the frame of the door towards the workspace on my right. Add some more parallel lines of the brick texture above the oven and coffee maker. And again, switching to my brush pen to add some accentuation around the frame of the menu. Some more accentuation here in between. Yeah, and also over here I decided to color this part black because this area is in dark shade. And at the same time, I really want to use this black area to accentuate the interesting angular perspective. Yeah, just add more lines going down. Add tiny bit of details behind the entrance glass. And again, those lines can be very quickly and loose and blurry because things in the distance can be very blurry in the drawing. Now just adding another high chair underneath the counter. Now I'm starting to add the final details on the right side of this page spread. This is the shelf. And the shelf pieces are looking pretty big compared to the ones in the middle, because these are pretty much right in front of me, very close to me, and that's why there's a sense of distance over here, the change in size as things moving closer or further away from the viewer. So in the common sense, things right in front of us should look giant, and things far away, they can look very tiny, even though in reality they are about the same sizes. Now just adding some final accentuations of the door frame, and then through the glass, I just finished drawing the menu details. and bits of things down there, again seeing in very simple shapes. Add some more vertical lines of the workspace table there. Some final little details that I think I need to add. Now I want to add these two people waiting behind the barista, and they look smaller because they're even further away. Alright, so here's the look of my finished line work. In real life, it took me 35 minutes to finish drawing this. So again, I really recommend you to not compare your drawing and painting speed with other people and other artists. The more you draw and paint, the faster you will get, okay? So just calm down and just do it at your own comfort speed. Now I'm ready to paint watercolors just to make this warm cafe scenery to come alive. So as always, I'm wetting the space first with clear water by squeezing my water brush. And for the very first layer, I want to get the warm atmosphere in by putting on a mix of lemon yellow and medium yellow. Pretty watery because the light is not that intense. Pretty dim in here. And just dabbing these colors in very loosely. Just focus on the yellows and oranges. A little bit orange for the brick wall, the first layer of the brick wall right down there. The first layer of watercolor painting can be very loose, and as you can see, I'm just punching the colors on and not really over stirring. I'm letting the paints, the different colors, to act together by themselves, to blend by themselves without too much control. Yeah, so as you can see, I just put some orange on the corner right there and some more lemon yellow. So yellow and blue, they're complementary colors or contrasting colors on the color wheel, and if they are together in the painting can look very powerful. Now I'm mixing ultramarine blue with pink purple to paint this blackboard menu. So as an artist, I believe that nothing in the world is truly solid black. As long as light exists in the environment, like daylight or artificial lighting, the colors of seemingly black objects, they always look kind of a bluish dark gray or a greenish dark gray or brownish dark gray in different values. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm just putting on this medium gray that I mixed by myself with ultramarine blue, a little bit green, and a little bit pink purple. So again, the more blue you add into the three color mixture, the more bluish gray it looks. Now I just mixed orange with brown or burnt sienna. Switch to my thinner medium tip water brush and use very choppy little brush strokes to show the brick pieces. So I'm painting very loosely and kind of like mixing the color a little bit once a while, just so I have different tones of browns. That's how the bricks look like in real life. Every piece, they have a different tone of orange brown or dark brown. So I'm painting by my impression, by my feelings, rather than copying what's out there. And just keep adding more, some very light grays, leftover grays, very diluted here and there, not too much, because I want to keep this middle space pretty bright with this yellow glow, nice and warm. So just very minimal amount of grays around here. Okay, and just grab some orange mixed with a leftover brown to paint the side of these paper boxes, adding a tiny dash of leftover gray for the end of that boxes. And now I actually grab some black from my palette because I really want to use this intense black to show the brightness of the light around that areas. So sometimes I break the rules and I do use solid black sometimes to add that very necessary contrast. And now I'm just using the leftover gray, the kind of bluish gray, very much diluted, to paint the counter and the window frame. So after pausing and pondering for a few more seconds, I decided to add some more light lemon yellow on the bottom of this counter and here and there too, because I want to add more warm unity for this sketch. Now it looks better. Okay, so now I am grabbing some more blue and pink purple, mix them together for this dark gray tone to paint the apron of the barista, and using the leftover orange brown to paint her face, a little pink cheek. Yeah, and painting those people's faces too. This lady's arm. And use some leftover yellow to paint the little details here and there. A little bit shadow for the cup underneath the plate on her computer. And just grabbing the leftover color to paint this man's shirt because they walked away. I don't remember what color he was wearing. As you can see so far, I'm using very limited color palette. We don't have to use a lot of colors. We don't have to use all of the colors in our palette to make a powerful picture. So far, I think I've only used 6 different colors and just mix them in different ways with different ratios and more or less water. That's it. That's the way we play with watercolors. Now I'm grabbing some blue and a lot of pink purple because I want to add the kind of pinkish gray tone for this lady's shirt. And some bluish gray for her pants, or her dress. And a little bit of leftover black to paint her hair because she's Asian. So when painting people's outfit, I like to keep it very loosely because the body is 3-dimensional, and I like to leave a little bit of white or lighter tones to show the highlights and the roundness of the body. Now I'm using the leftover grays, so I mix a little bit green into the gray, so it's kind of a greenish gray. There's so many kinds of grays that you can mix with different ratios of green, blue, and red or pink purple. Yeah, just this new layer of darker gray on top of the lighter layer. And use the leftover brown to paint the shelf there. Yeah, now there's more contrast in here. And again, using the leftover bluish gray to paint the ceiling area, especially the area above these lamps is in shade. And keep using this leftover gray to paint the edges of these banners. Very light brush strokes, almost invisible. So when we're painting, we don't have to use very strong colors all the time. Just a little dash of light colors here and there. Yeah, and they're actually there. Now let me take a look and see what else I can add. Yeah, just a more, this is the shade side of the counter. And underneath the high chairs, this dark shade, and also a bit of medium shade underneath the counter, underneath this lady's body. Yeah, just so she's not floating in the air. Very loosely painted because I don't see silhouette shapes. Just a very loose shadow area. And just wetting the corner up there. And use leftover brown to paint the brick buildings on the other side of the street. Very loosely. We're painting loosely just to show a sense of distance, but also give the viewer imagination space. And again, using leftover gray to paint the edge of the frame over here, leaving the top part yellow to show the shine of light. This is the very last stage of the painting process. Again, very lightly, almost invisible shade here and there, because I really want to preserve the fresh yellow glow of the interior, especially the middle, the central part. Add a little bit of dark brown for her hair so it looks more lively. Yeah, not just solid black. Now is the last bit of area here on the right. Again, I'm putting on some lemon yellow mixed with a little bit medium yellow, very much diluted. The light is not that strong and solid. And brown here and there inside that glass area. lots of leftover yellow browns to paint these wooden parts. And these are books on the shelf. And a little bit red brown in between the gaps. Shade underneath a lot of these objects. And also underneath the leg of this work table. A little bit green for these little plants. Shade underneath the handle. Yeah, all solid objects, they cast shadows underneath or around them. Darker tones behind the glass area. And I think that's pretty much it. And just last bits of gentle brush strokes here and there is done. Here's the look of my finished ink and watercolor sketch on location in a cafe. I would say this is actually a very challenging perspective that I have over here, but I think I did pretty well. So the key to paint the atmosphere of this cafe is to have a very limited palette. Focus on the bright yellows and oranges and browns, and then add in the contrasting, colder, grayish colors around it. But don't over add the gray tones. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates so you never miss a new video. Have a great day everyone. See you soon.